with the updated technology and Turning Point. I think I've ironed those out. I have done this for the other two classes. I'm going to do it for this class as well. If you took the quiz in class, if I see you made an attempt, either in class or through D2L or both, I'll give you the full 10 points for last week. Okay? If you were in class and made an attempt, or if you took the quiz on D2L or both, I'll give you the full 10 points. I guess IT is working out some issues with Turning Point. Has anyone else experienced that in Earth Science or any other class? Yeah. I don't have so much problem with this room in Patterson, but Decom is a nightmare. So, whatever. What I want to do is clarify a few things on the quizzes for you today. I have a discussion about starting your speech, starting to prepare your speeches, starting to prepare your introductions and your conclusions, and considering that type of the type of strategy that you might adopt when introducing or concluding your topic. And I have a speech today, and I also kind of have my speech of the day is a little bit dry. It's kind of textbook-ish, and so I also included a YouTube video on what not to do in a speech intro to kind of keep things light and interesting, but yet pertinent to the topic. So, right. If you just got in here, go ahead and click in. I left the polling open for the click 1 for attendance. Click 1 for attendance. Somebody remind me of the channel in here. 41. Okay. I need to and then we have a couple of assignments that I'm giving to you in lecture, and your lab instructor will also reiterate, but you'll need to know these. I have a quiz question on this. Your thesis statement assignment, which I have a slide for, and the presentation outline, which is something that you can access. You can access the outline through the content of D2L or in the supplement material with your textbook. You had a red book, or you should have had a red supplemental material in your textbook package. And you should start to prepare your persuasive speech by way of that preparation outline. And then just a reminder that next week, by Friday at 5 p.m. through D2L, that second annotation from the library literacy sessions will be due. And so that should be pretty easy. You did one in the library sessions. I don't know if are there any lab sections that are meeting yet this week with your library? Oh, quite a few. Okay. So you'll be assigned a second annotation. You do one in lab together with the partners, and then you'll do another one so that your lab instructor can ensure that you know what we expect and how to do an annotation from our perspective. And then you can ace the formal annotated bibliography assignment that is connected with your persuasive speech, and all that is upcoming. So, just a couple of reminders there. Okay, so first of all, some quiz clarifications. To confirm your clicker function, I'm going to post the clicker results from this lecture just moments after you walk out of here, okay? And so I'll do that. I created a discussion posting in D2L. And I think this is going to work pretty well. It works pretty well for the other sections so far. So the general Q&A that you've posted there, and I've answered your questions there. Well, not this class, but another class. I posted a forum entitled Clicker Quiz Results by Class Period. And so you see, yours will say, obviously, Monday, September 18th. And you should be able to access an Excel spreadsheet with your name and your quiz results from class. Okay, you can check. Because there was really not an efficient way for 462 students to check their clicker function and how you did in the class quizzes. So I'll post those each day after lecture, and you should look at those, if not every day, every so often, to make sure that you know where you are with your class quiz. You didn't do so well in the class quiz, you'll want to do the D2L quiz for sure. Okay? And I'll post those right after class. And remember that I will take the highest among the 2 quizzes in class and or the D2L attempt. I will record and retain the highest score. Now, I won't input the scores in the grade book until the quiz is closed through D2L. If I monkey with that, I mess up your grade. So I'll wait until that quiz closes at 5 on Fridays, and then I will input. I'll go through and I'll input the grade that's the higher of the 3. Okay? totally transparent with your quiz grade. I want to give you a good reason to sit and listen in class, and I want this to be interesting. And I hope to have that as an incentive work on this class as well, that you can do well on the quizzes. These first quizzes are pretty easy because I want to make sure that the clickers are working. And in this classroom, they seem to be working swimmingly. So, yeah.
Is that how it's going to be always?
I'm going to go from here on out.
I want to use the D2L as a practice one.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Fauna said if we want to use D2L as a practice, I would love it. I would love it if everyone puts in and used the D2L quiz as a practice. The D2L quiz is 10 questions. It's taken from the readings that you should find in your syllabus. And also, you should know this. Because some students are a little unsure about using syllabi, maybe you're new to college and you've never functioned with following a syllabus, I'm going to post what is assigned that week. Well, I should post the readings too. So for instance, this week's readings were Chapter 11, Intros, Conclusions, and Transitions, and Chapter 3, Identity.
Yes.
I'll do that too. And these were the assignments. Good question. Okay. Introductions, conclusions, and transitions. Introductions are important to beginning your speech, and they're important because you set the agenda. You set the agenda for so many things, verbally and non-verbally. Your audience is sizing you up. You're sizing up your audience. You set the tone. I'm always, whenever I get to teach a small lecture section or a lab setting or a public speaking class, I'm always very careful on who I let speak first. Jeremy and Elaine, you should pay close attention to this because you want someone who's going to set the bar high. Right? We have a social comparison theory at work there, and that you're analyzing, you're sizing up, you're gauging how your course peers are doing, and you want to meet or exceed, hopefully you want to exceed those standards. But sometimes I've had in speech classes, if a low standard is set by a student, then many people think, well, that's okay, I don't have to speak that long, I can do that with preparation. So I usually am very careful at who I let speak. Your introductions serve the purpose of gaining and maintaining the interest of your audience. Give them a compelling reason to listen to your message. My persuasive speech today is on smoking. That's boring. Think of some interesting ways. Give some reason for your audience to listen. And I'll talk about different strategies here in the upcoming slides. You have the opportunity to influence your audience in a way to view you favorably, and if you wish, your topic favorably. Maybe you're on the opposite end of the spectrum. Maybe you want to disfavor a certain topic, but you have that opportunity. That is in your hands. You need to clarify the purpose of your speech. Generally speaking, this next speech, which begins approximately October the 8th, is to persuade, right? What are the other two general purposes we have for speaking? To inform and to entertain, right? And uniquely, a persuasive speech sometimes contains all three elements, but overall, your goal should be to persuade. Your specific purpose is to persuade them on some particular topic. And you need to partition that speech. You need to preview your topic. Mark Twain said, public speaking isn't that difficult. You tell your audience what you're going to say, you speak about it, and then you tell them what you just spoke about. And what Mark Twain quotes. And it has a bit of redundancy that way, and it's your responsibility to provide that audio roadmap. I like that whole thing. That's an easy thing. It's your responsibility to provide that audio roadmap so your audience can follow along. They feel comfortable with what you're going to say and what you're going to try to do. And you set those standards in the introduction very early on. I have strategies not recommended to intro your speech, okay? I'm just going to let you see a brief bit of this fellow's speech. I want you to pick him apart, all right? This is a public video on YouTube. I hope you don't know this fellow. I don't know him. He doesn't look at one bit from me. That's how he describes himself.
I'm definitely going to go there.
And not keeping time, so again, and 4 minutes, we do 2-minute warning, 1-minute warning, and then a 6-minute.
Rest pretty well.
Give your speech. Let me know on this. And you guys So class and not class. The funny story actually, this morning, I was gonna clean my room until I got high. I was gonna get up and find the room, but then I got high. Now my room's still a mess, and I know why. Because I got high, because I got high, because I got high. Now I know what y'all wanted. You're asking yourself.
He was trying to make use of song lyrics, right? But what is he not doing that he needs to do, according to what I'm going to share with you in just a moment? What is he not doing in his introduction? Or what is he doing that's not working for him that way? Yeah, maybe he's not referring to the speech situation. What about non-verbally? What was his message non-verbally? What's that? Yeah, I don't care. Maybe, and what song was that? What song lyric? He's trying to be a class clown, fulfill that kind of slacker out there, but I gotta do the speech. Now that doesn't impress me for this particular speech situation. Now that might fit a certain context, but it doesn't. He needs to clearly identify what it is that he's going to speak about. He needs to relate a clear thesis statement. If you were in my class getting ready for this speech, his thesis statement should be concise. It should be 7 words or less. He needs to partition his speech, that is, tell us briefly about what he's going to speak about. Maybe he could even tell us first I'm going to talk about why it should be advised, and I'm going to talk about whatever. But he has done nothing about stating the importance of his topic, or really, he did use a strategy though. He used song lyrics, which might be kind of borderline quoting someone and kind of maybe telling a story. But he needed to fine-tune that just a little bit. So your audience needs to trust that you're going to be a credible voice from the moment that you walk into the classroom. So make sure that you look pulled together that day. I've often said to young men and women that pull your hair back, or make sure you're not messing with your hair. Get all those things out of the way before you even speak. Because nonverbally, you're giving a message as well. You need to prepare for your speech that day. Make sure that you're confident in your body language and how you carry yourself to the podium, and start with confidence. For this speech in this classroom, I'm not saying that that might not be appropriate in another context or appealing to another audience. So your audience needs to be considered greatly. You might consider how it is that you can identify with your audience. I was looking at a few topics. Jeremy brought me some interesting topics that maybe not. I wouldn't recommend them, not because they were controversial. I think this young person was thinking about talking about religion, but it was more so the message and how the audience might receive that message. And so you need to be able to pick a topic that your audience can identify with and speak comfortably about. You might refer to the speech situation. This happens quite often, especially with special occasion speaking. Maybe you're speaking, giving a wedding toast, maybe you're accepting an award, and it would be appropriate to refer to the situation. How would you refer to the situation with your persuasive speech? Maybe you're going to refer to the context, the time, the place, the setting, the time and day, or the time of day. I was talking with a few lab instructors yesterday, and they said 9 a.m. speech labs are rough. Am I right? And so maybe there's something that you could do to refer to the fact that you're speaking at 9 a.m. And that might identify with your audience instead. State your purpose. That can be explicit or implied, but your persuasive purpose should be abundantly clear in the first segment of your speech, or your introduction. And also put forth the importance of your topic, either explicitly or implicitly. Different strategies that you can use in your introduction include statistics or making claims. We talked about statistics as supporting evidence the other day, but you can certainly begin your speech and start to gather attention by citing an interesting or startling statistic and or claim. Anecdotal or using a story, making the unfamiliar familiar by use of an analogy. You can ask rhetorical or direct questions. I didn't put direct questions in there. And then also just quote them. Anyone else a quote lover? I heard the best quote over the weekend was, "Blessed are those that are flexible because they never get bent out of shape." That was from the movie Buck. And then if you're good at using humor and you're strategic with it, it can work. Now the fellow that we saw in the YouTube video 30 seconds ago was not very strategic with his humor. It wouldn't resound with your instructor, and it might resound with your audience, but they're probably left wondering, what is it? What is your intent? What are you trying to do? So be strategic with your humor and well planned, and use it well. Prepare your introduction after you work on the content, the body content of your speech. When you start looking at that preparation outline, I want you to consider what it is that you have to say. Your thesis statement will be the central idea. Your mini, M-I-N-I, mini thesis will be the supporting points of that thesis statement. And prepare that material before you go back to the introduction. Keep your introduction fairly brief, to the point, yet you contain all of those elements that make your introduction complete, and stating your purpose, and stating, giving a preview of your speech and your thesis statement. Keep a file of potential introduction, either a metaphorical file in your head or an actual file. Keep a record of some interesting introductions that you might have seen over the last years, months, days. Can you think of a memorable way that a speaker introduced their speech that remains with you? Can anyone share? Jeremy?
Back to my high school graduation, our valedictorian quoted a number, and then she explained that number was how much we would have earned given the number of hours at minimum wage if we were actually paid.
Oh, the number of hours that you spent in high school?
Number of hours from kindergarten through 12th grade.
Wow, what was that? Do you remember?
It was somewhere in the 800,000s.
Minimum wage was $5 and a quarter?
Yeah.
Also, you might research potential introductions. I refer to the AmericanRhetoric.com website. It's an online speech bank. And that speech bank is a searchable bank that contains the top 100 speeches in our American history. And actually, I think there are more than 100. There is a speech bank of the top 100 most memorable and famous speeches in our American history. And those range anywhere from movie speeches to classroom speeches to presidential rhetoric or other political rhetoric. But AmericanRhetoric.com is a good place if you're stuck in terms of how do other people begin their speech. Look at some of the most famous speeches in our history. Martin Luther King, look at how he appealed to an audience. One of my favorite speeches from that speech bank happens to be Barbara Bush at Wellesley College in her delivery of a graduation speech in the early 90s. You'll want to plan your introduction for this persuasive speech word for word. You need to memorize. You need to know that speech. And why would I have you do that? Why do you want to memorize your introduction? I don't want to memorize your introduction. Why am I telling that you to memorize that introduction?
It brings your audience in instead of you looking down at note cards or something.
Yeah. It brings your audience in. It keeps that connection with the audience. It can help you build your confidence, and you'll be very strategic in knowing that you have all of the elements if you memorize your introduction. Now, having said that, you can have an introductory note card, right? One
Yes.
for your introduction, one for your conclusion, and 3 for the body of your speech. But plan on memorizing that introduction and keeping that connection with your audience. The thesis statement is something that I'm assigning here in lecture, and you're going to give this statement orally in class, in lab, next week. Okay, this is an assignment that is not written down per se. I would still write them down. Not submitted in written form. There we go. But given in lab. The thesis statement should be developed very carefully. Okay, it should be a succinct statement, 7 words or less. It's a very short, declarative sentence that will be the central driving idea of your persuasive speech. Now, on Thursday, we'll go through different schema that might be available to you as you strategize the body of your speech and how it is that you can make that memorable for yourself and for your audience. It can be simple, simplify it. You know, earlier today I said, don't stand in front of your audience and say smoking. I'm just going to talk about smoking today in my persuasive speech. But put some life into it. Be very deliberate. Be very passionate. Say, smoking is bad. Smoking is bad for 3 reasons. Smoking causes cancer. Smoking is unattractive. And smoking is illegal. And then you support those. You support those that main thesis and the mini thesis with the evidence and your reasoning that you build in and fill in the blanks. Am I right? Is that a bad example?
Just the illegal one.
Smoking is illegal. You're from Nebraska. Is that illegal?
Smoking costs a lot of money.
There you go. You can think of all sorts of reasons why smoking is bad. But it should be succinct. It should be absent of excess fillers. This first speech is going to be easy. Trust me, we're going to help you do that. We're going to take this in small steps. We're breaking it apart. And our lab instructors, your lab instructors are going to be supported to look at your thesis statements to help you build those mini thesis statements in support of that. So construct those for submission in lab with your instructors next week. Tell all your friends who are not in here in class today that you have an assignment that Amy gave you in lecture, and you need to turn around and give that in the lab next week. That's worth 20 points. It should be a pretty easy 20 points. And it also gets you up and talking. Some students say, well, I don't get it. Why don't we put this in the Dropbox? Well, this is a performance-based class. So come to class, be prepared, and give some good thesis statements to your lab. Any questions on that? Okay, so I envision that you might be nodding off just a bit right now, but you're not. You're just attentive, taking copious notes, which I appreciate. But next we have the speech of the day. This is about an 8-minute speech on blood donation. And as boring as that might sound, I want you to look how and watch how this speaker, I think her name is Jennifer, has built in compelling evidence, personal narratives, statistics, all in a strategic organizational pattern for her persuasive message. How many have read about the Monroe's motivated sequence in chapter 13? Anybody? Boy. Does anyone know the 5 steps of Monroe's motivated sequence by chance? Alan Monroe was a speech scholar. He's a Montessori speaker. In the 1950s, put forth a very interesting persuasive organizational format. It's very formulaic in that he purported that if you use these 5 steps, you could problematize any topic and then present viable solutions. So it's a problem-solution format, and the steps are attention, need, satisfaction, visualization, and action. You have to gain and maintain the attention of your audience. So give them a compelling reason to continue to listen and look in favor of what it is that you're persuading them on. Then he said you need to attention, need. You need to you have to provide a strong need about your topic. And so you'll hear about the need for blood donation. And then you have to start to guide your audience as they visualize how it is that you might build this need to the point of how do we find the answers to this need? And you provide that next step, which is the satisfaction step, or the solution to that problem. And then finally, you call on your audience to take action. And so I want you to look at the organizational format of this speaker, how she intros this speech, how she concludes this speech. I want you to look at how she transitions between ideas, how she follows this particular organizational format. It is something that you could do in your own persuasive speech. You can certainly adopt this format. Like I said, it's a little bit formulaic, but it does work for quite a few different topics. So, I'm smiling because the other thing is she has a very strong regional dialect. She's from the University of Wisconsin at Madison. And so it's the Sheboygan Avenue, it's good for a good evening. So, here she goes, Jennifer, and take a look.
Are you at least 17 years old? Do you weigh more than 110 pounds? Do you consider yourself fairly healthy? If you answered yes to all of these questions, you should be donating blood every 2 months. In my survey of the class, I found that only 50% of you have ever donated blood before, and that only 1 out of 13 of you donate on a regular basis. The lack of participation of eligible donors is a serious problem that requires immediate action. Through extensive research and 2 years of faithfully donating blood, I've come to realize the magnitude of this problem and just how easy the solution can be. Today, I would like to show why blood donors are in such desperate need and encourage you to take action to combat this need. Let's first take a look at the overwhelming need for blood donors. The lack of participation of eligible blood donors poses a threat to the lives of many Americans. According to the American Red Cross web pages, where I've obtained an enormous amount of information, in the United States alone, someone undergoes a blood transfusion once every 3 seconds, which amounts to 3,000 gallons of blood every hour, day and night. People who benefit from donations range from cancer patients, to organ transplant patients, to surgical patients. Even premature infants and trauma victims benefit from donations. The need for blood never takes a vacation, and neither should donors. Let me tell you about Brooke, a 3-year-old girl with long, curly blonde hair and bright blue eyes. Brooke is a victim of cancer and had major surgery to remove a large tumor in her abdomen. She has spent approximately half of her life in the hospital, receiving chemotherapy and other treatments for infections that resulted from a decrease in her white blood cell count after each session. According to the Texas Children's Hospital, Brooke's treatment will require blood products with a replacement value of 508 units of blood, of which only 250 units have been replaced. She still needs 250 units of blood to continue her treatment. If she doesn't receive this blood, she will not be able to attend kindergarten, to go to the prom in high school, or to get married, luxuries we all too often take for granted. Cases like Brooke's are becoming all too common these days, with only 1 in 20 eligible Americans donating blood, and the donor rate dropping steadily at 2% annually. These facts are particularly distressing, considering that nearly half of us here will receive blood sometime in our lives. You can now see the magnitude of the problem with the lack of blood donations. Fortunately, it is a problem that can be easily solved. Each and every one of you can be part of the solution. All you have to do to save priceless lives is go to the nearest Red Cross and donate your blood. For those of you who have never donated blood before, the process is so simple and easy. First, you fill out a donor information form that asks you questions about your sexual history and health. You will then receive a mini physical. They will take a drop of blood from your finger to measure the percent of red cells in your blood. Then, they will take your blood pressure, as well as your temperature and pulse. So not only are you saving lives by donating blood, you are also checking on your own. After your physical, you will be asked from which arm you choose to donate. Then, you will be asked to lie in a donor chair. A staff member will clean your arm and insert a sterile, non-reusable needle, so there's no way to contract AIDS from donating blood. After a pint of your blood has been taken, which usually takes about 10 minutes, you'll be asked to relax for 10 to 15 minutes while you enjoy juice and cookies. The process is over, and in 8 weeks you can donate again. Many of you may be scared at the thought of the anticipated pain and needles. I admit I was terrified the first time I gave blood, but then I realized I was scared over nothing. The extent of the pain as they insert the needle is equivalent to someone scratching your arm for a brief second. And while the needle is in your arm, you don't even feel a thing. And as I stated before, it is impossible to contract AIDS from donating blood. Now that you know just how easy and safe the solution is to the lack of blood donations, let us take a look at just how much difference your donations can make. Every unit of blood you donate can save up to 3 lives. You see, the blood you donate is divided up 3 ways, into red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Each of these are stored separately and used for different types of treatment. Red blood cells are used to fight anemia. White blood cells are used to fight infections, while platelets are important to control bleeding and are used in patients with leukemia and other forms of cancer. The joy you get from helping 3 people can be increased many times over. You see, you can donate blood 6 times in a year. Those 6 donations can help as many as 18 people. Just think, if you donated for 10 years, you could help save the lives of nearly 180 people. Who knows, one of those lives could even be that of a friend, family member, or even your own, since you can now donate blood in advance of your own surgery. Now that you know what a difference just one donation can make, I want to encourage you to take action. I urge you to take a stand and become a regular blood donor. 45 minutes out of your day is a small price to pay for the lifetime of satisfaction you receive by knowing you may have saved a life. If you have never donated blood before, pull deep inside yourself and find some courage and become a proud wearer of the I am a first-time blood donor sticker. If you have donated before, think back to the feeling of pride you received from making your donation. Finally, I ask all of you to think of a loved one you hold so dear to your heart. Imagine they need a blood transfusion and there's a shortage of donations that day, so they cannot receive the treatment that they so desperately need. Just like Brooke, the 3-year-old girl that I talked about earlier. Go to the nearest Red Cross in Madison, which is on Sheboygan Avenue, or attend the next blood drive here on campus. These blood drives are held in various parts of campus, including the dorms. In fact, the next drive will be held in the Odd Residence Hall in 2 weeks. Please, take this opportunity to save lives and make yourself feel like $1 million. Give the ultimate gift, the gift of life. Donate blood.
That's the last textbook he tells you about.
Perdóname, Señor, me perdí. ¿Podría decirme cómo ir al Hotel del Sol? A few of you may know I just said, "Excuse me, sir, I'm lost. Could you tell me how to get to the Sun Hotel?" However, some of you may not, even though you had 3 to 4 years of Spanish in high school. I just have one question for you. Would you be able to get around in a foreign country where the language you studied was spoken?
So were you able to follow the 5 steps of Monroe motivated sequence? No? So she built a strong need using, what did she use to build a strong need about blood donation? Yeah, she told a narrative, an anecdotal evidence, she had a story. Let me tell you about her. Right? She referenced that story a couple of different times. She built a strong need about the amount of blood that's needed in our country and how that blood is used and why you should consider, she started to build why you should consider